Andy Reid did his press conference today and mentioned that the Chiefs are back to normal with the way they go about practice, doing it in the afternoons rather than early in the mornings like they were in St. Joe for the past couple of weeks. One good news is that he mentioned Trey Smith, who's been dealing with a hip injury. He came back to practice today after missing the past 2.5 weeks. Went to go see a specialist because of his hip and came back. Now he's good to go. However, Josh Simmons, among several other players, he is still unavailable. Now, it's been, I believe, 7 days to be exact since Simmons has last practiced with the Chiefs. And social media is all over the place right now with Josh Simmons because he did not return to practice today. Trey Smith did. Josh Simmons did it. And look, I get it. There's been a lot invested in this offensive line. Paying Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, big money. Getting Josh Simmons in the first round, getting Kingsley Suamataia in the second round. And you have to protect Patrick Mahomes. I mean, this team was unable to keep Joe Thuney. And he goes on to win the inaugural Protector of the Year award. So that probably infuriates Chiefs fans even more. And hoping that the Chiefs are going to hit on these offseason additions, whether it's this offseason, off seasons previously. Well, the only real addition they've had this offseason was Khalil Benson. But the point I'm trying to make here is Josh Simmons is under this big microscope that anytime he's not available, Chiefs fans, it feels like they're counting every single minute and day that he's not there available for the Chiefs. This stems back to last season because when the Chiefs drafted him, he was still dealing with that knee injury that he was recovering from in college football while with Ohio State. But fortunately, was available in a full go for last year's training camp. But then he missed 4 games due to a personal matter, which let me just address that real quickly because I know that still gets brought up. We don't know what it was. You know, it's not our place. It's not our business. We know Eric Bieniemy missed a couple of weeks. Yes, he was coaching remotely for part of it, but he had a very serious personal matter that he had to step away from. Savannah Guthrie, who was the host of the Today Show, and I know that story had a lot of weird twists and turns, but she was unable to host the Today Show for, if I recall correctly, 8 weeks. I mean, that's a long time to be away because of a personal matter, but because the nature of her job, she's a public figure, everyone knew what was going on with the disappearance of her mother, and she was excused for 8 weeks. My point is this: with some public figures, whether it's a Savannah Guthrie or an Eric Bieniemy or anyone in between, sometimes we know their situation. It just gets out there. With Josh Simmons, we don't know specifically what happened or why he had to step away. But I will say this. Let me just ask this question. Do any of you truly think that a football player in the NFL, which is very hard it's hard to get to the NFL, let alone being a first-round draft pick, do you think Josh Simmons, a first-round draft pick, who's playing a very important position for Kansas City's offense, do you think he wanted that personal, family, urgent matter to occur? Do you think he wanted to miss 4 games? I don't think anyone wants to miss games once they're in the NFL, especially a starter. So a first-round pick, someone that's supposedly got a lot of upside in Simmons. I don't think anyone wants that situation to ever happen. Sometimes things happen out of our control. We've all dealt with it. And I know what some people might say in the comments, and this will be my last part of this before I move on. A lot of people push back saying, well, my job won't ever give me 4 weeks. Look, man, that's the nature of the business. Like I mentioned with Savannah Guthrie, I mean, she received 8 weeks with Bieniemy. I mean, the Chiefs were very flexible with him and said, hey, we'll live stream it for you so you can coach remotely. And listen, there are other players who've had to step away. I know of I don't want to say his name, and this person has spoke about it publicly, so it's not a big secret, but it wasn't talked about much. But there is a local radio show host, a sports host here in Kansas City, who stepped away for a couple of weeks due to a health matter. So everyone has their reasons for needing to step away. We don't know what Simmons' reason was. So I've always been in the camp of, hey, it's a personal matter. Let's respect it. But a lot of people keep bringing it up and are using it against him. And even more so now because he ended the season with an injury, the wrist injury, I think it was, against the Dallas Cowboys. And now he's dealing with another injury. It's a back injury. Now, Andy Reid hasn't really said much on the details of this. So we don't know if it's serious, minor, what is it? We don't know. Here's what I do know. Listen, I'm not going to pretend that I know about the back injury because I don't. But what I do know is today is August the 24th as I record this and publish this. Kansas City's first football game, real football game, is 21 days away. I have no issues with the Chiefs not putting Josh Simmons out there right now when all you have left is the third preseason game, which Simmons has zero reason to be playing in that game if he's dealing with an injury. I'd be willing to bet Trey Smith's probably not going to play this Friday night. And the way things work when players come back from an injury, Andy Reid always gradually works them back into a higher workload in practice. That's just the way Andy Reid's gone about things. Andy Reid and the Chiefs training staff, they are always going to be on the side of caution with these kinds of things. They'll always be very cautious before clearing a player for team activities. And look, I get it too. Listen, I want Josh Simmons and Trey Smith out there. I know every single one of you guys who are Chiefs fans, you guys want Simmons, Smith, Humphrey, all of them to never miss a game, never miss a snap. I fully get it. But listen, sometimes things happen that are out of a player's control. No one ever wants to deal with injuries, but those things happen, unfortunately. And I think with 3 weeks to go, I'm not hitting the panic button on Josh Simmons. If it's the week of the first game and Simmons is not practicing, I'll question it. But listen, man, if you've got an injury, you got an injury. You can't ever force yourself to be out there if you're dealing with an injury. You don't want to hurt yourself even worse than you already are at that point. But again, I get all the concerns. Kansas City's offensive line did not look very good this past week. I mean, Khalil Benson, could he be a right tackle someday in the NFL? A starting right tackle? Sure. But it sure as hell might not be in week 1, 3 weeks from now. He did not look very good. Jalen Moore did not look good at left tackle. S.A. Pole struggled as well. I mean, they all allowed a few pressures and none of them really played a whole lot of snaps against the Bucs. So I get the need and the concern of it all right now. And listen, what is Kansas City going to do in week 1 if Simmons is unavailable? Who's playing left tackle? Who's playing right tackle? Because with Jalen Moore, you're having him 2 years in a row now flip back and forth all over that offensive line. Left tackle, and then back to left tackle. Playing a little bit of right guard as well. It's like, what are we doing? I mean, I was listening to Bill Moss on 810 today, and I heard, I don't know if you guys remember Damian McIntosh back in, I think, 08, 09 when he was with the Chiefs. Damian McIntosh, I can't remember if it was from right tackle to left tackle or from left tackle to right tackle, but either way, he had to switch positions. And he was doing an interview, and in that interview, he admitted it's not really the most pleasant transition because his entire career, high school, college, and in the NFL, he's learned having to step back one direction. Now you're psychologically trying to learn how to step back a different direction and just kind of get used to that other side, a side that you're not fully familiar with. I know a lot of times college football players, special offensive linemen in specific, when they're getting ready for the draft, sometimes they'll get asked, hey, can you play guard? Can you play tackle, right tackle, left tackle? The answer they'll always give you is, oh, I can play anywhere. I'm willing to play anywhere. Well, I think part of it is they just want to show themselves and say, hey, look, I'm willing to play anything. Please draft me as high as possible. I think that's part of it. But at some point, when you get to the NFL, you want to be solidified at a very specific position. You don't want to hop around. Switching from guard to tackle, left side or right side, that's an easy transition. But switching from the left side to the right side, especially the offensive tackle position, given that's on the outside, that can be more complex than it seems. So, look, I don't know what Kansas City's true plans are with their offensive line. Ever since Trey Smith's injury, and more so with Simmons, they've been doing a lot of shifting around, and it really doesn't make a lot of sense. So, listen, I get all the concerns. I'm concerned as well. If that's the offensive line from this past Saturday out there in week 1, I don't think it will be, but if it is, God help Patrick Mahomes, because that's not gonna bode well for the Chiefs in that week 1 game against a great defense like Denver. And I can't change anyone's opinion. I know people will have their stance on Simmons and whatnot, but if I can give you guys just one takeaway, it's August the 24th. There's exactly 21 days away from that first game. That's a long ways to go. So let's calm down a little bit and let's hope for the best. Hopefully Simmons will be there sooner rather than later.